Hey, what's up, you sexy tigers? Welcome to another episode of Bailcast. I'm Gio.
And I'm Bart. Rare.
I don't know why I said tigers when I'm wearing cheetah print, but I just felt animalistic on the inside, so.
Speaking of tigers and cheetah print, that's actually the topic that I want to talk about today.
Tigers and cheetahs?
No, about animals.
We're going to talk about animals?
Yeah, I'm going to talk about animals today.
Oh, cool. I like animals.
So this part's going to get a little bit somber a little bit, but not really. I don't want to go that route. But if you guys follow me on my Instagram, you know that I did address like all the hate crimes that have been going on against the Asian American community. And we've seen a lot of people in our community talk about it. And even LeBron James, Obama have talked about it. It's all over the news.
It's everywhere.
So it's everywhere. So in terms of awareness and the public knowing about it, I'm happy that it's out there.
Yes.
Because now it's not like an issue that's just happening in our community, where in the beginning when I would post like a grandma getting beat up or something, like a lot of the comments are like, oh, what? I didn't even know that.
Oh.
So that sucks because like, you know, a lot of us Asians, we have like our own Asian centric news, you know, just like I'm sure every community has a Latin centric news. Like that's pretty normal.
Channel 34, shout outs. I mean, I guess
is that Telemundo?
Yeah. Univision.
Univision.
Yeah.
So that's pretty normal, right? And plus like your algorithm, like if you have a bunch of friends that are also Asians, it's just, you're just getting fed different things. So when I posted about stuff like that, like it was news to a lot of my other followers that aren't just Asian. And we do have a pretty diverse following now. And so now I'm really happy that where we're at, this is a niche news. Everyone knows about it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so to me, that's the first step. And then the second step is where I feel like a lot of people are kind of stuck and they don't know what to do.
Yes.
So I had a good friend text me yesterday and was asking me about the post. And he was pretty much saying like, hey, you know, like I know in the post you're talking about we got to like take action, not in an illegal way, not to retaliate or anything, but in self-defense, you got to stand up for yourself. And he's like, are you talking about we need to like, everyone needs to take BJJ and Muay Thai and everyone needs to have a gun? And when I hear a question,
in an ideal world, yes,
exactly,
but
right?
It's not attainable for everyone.
Yeah. So like when I hear a question like that, like the first thing that I like to do when I hear questions is not really just listen to the words, but hear where that person came from. Yeah, where that question came from. Where is that person even coming from?
Right.
Because this person is also an influencer. So this person also represents the thoughts of not just himself,
but his group of
people.
But
of a lot of people.
Yeah.
Right. And every time we've brought this up, or even if I see like any type of like Second Amendment debates, and this is even my position on the Second Amendment, but just seeing those type of debates, you kind of hear the schools of thought.
Absolutely.
And so when I hear it, I'm like, it's really surprising to me, but I understand where it's coming from. But I'm like, a lot of people have a prey type mentality. Does that make sense?
Like they're that they're prey.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I mean, I don't know if it's a prey type of mentality. Maybe from your perspective, it could be prey mentality because you grew up in kind of a hostile environment, right? Like you said, you came from like gangs, like even your group of friends, you guys jumped each other, like they would kick your ass, like if it's your birthday. So I don't think it's a prey mentality. I just think we're products of our environment.
Yeah.
You know, so you can tell who grew up in a very healthy, safe environment that didn't need fucking bars on their windows.
Yeah.
I think that's where it comes from.
So actually that makes me feel good because
I don't think it's prey.
No. I do need to label it things for the sake of being able to have a discussion.
Yeah.
And I'm not labeling things in a good or bad way.
Yeah.
I'm labeling it so that people understand the perspective,
okay.
right? Like, for example, on a basketball court, there's offense and there's defense. And it's not like the people that are on offense are bad guys. And when you're trying to like play defense, you're the good guys. You know, it's the offense and defense in specifically in a sports setting. It's not a perpetrator and a victim.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's for the sake of discussing what is happening on the court. So when I'm saying prey, I'm not saying like.
Well, I guess it's prey from the perspective of potentially getting robbed or jumped.
It's prey in where the violence of action is, in the direction of the violence of action.
I see.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So like predator prey.
Yeah.
Violence is going from predator to prey.
Right.
Right. And so when you say that, I grew up in a hostile environment, you grew up in the hood too.
Yeah.
It actually makes me feel good because since I recognize that there's so many people with a prey-like mentality, that actually means that there's a lot of people that have grown up in good neighborhoods. So that
different countries.
Or different countries. So I do think that there's definitely way more good communities, way more good neighborhoods, way more good upbringings than bad neighborhoods. And so that makes me feel good. But the problem with that is with the prey type of mentality, then you're not prepared for situations that are now happening, and which is why a lot of people feel helpless.
Absolutely. Because I mean, you just haven't been exposed to it. So how would you know about it,
Yes.
And I think that there's also things that we might be taking for granted. So like when he was saying to you, like, what? Like, do we need to all know how to have a martial art? Yeah. Do we all need to know how to fight? Yeah, it sounds extreme, but I think it's because, it's just they haven't been tested, and they think that violence is this type of way where it's like the only way to combat violence or avoid it is by knowing how to fight and puff your chest out and being like appearing bigger than what you really are.
Yeah.
So I get it.
Yeah, and when he was saying that, it's a very multifaceted question, right? When you go, does everyone need to know martial arts, and does everyone need to know like how to handle not just a handgun, because let's remove the Second Amendment from this, but a weapon in general? Does everyone need to know how to do that?
Like a cane, like swing a freaking bat.
A cane, even a phone book. Like, does everyone need to know
a phone book? Did you just say a fucking phone book?
Yeah.
Where the hell can you find a phone book?
Isn't there one on every doorstep? Like, I feel like every month someone's chucking one at my door.
When have you seen a phone book at your doorstep?
Well, we don't live in an Asian neighborhood anymore, but there used to be my dad
so specifically Asian?
My dad had stacks of Asian phone books.
Why?
They're still behind. They just keep tossing them at you.
And he just keeps them?
I don't know why he keeps them, to be honest.
Okay, we'll go into that in further detail in another podcast.
They make for a good coffee table later, and you stack them all together, and you could I don't know. Or you use it to like wipe your windows.
Okay. I thought you misspoke and like meant to say throw your phone at someone, but you legit
said phone book. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's a multifaceted question. And so
handling a weapon.
And so how I would break it down, it would be in an ideal world, in this type of like violent, where there's potential for violence, which is both a realistic world and it's happening right now. Yes. You would have everyone well trained and be good at handling a weapon, and that's what we hope all police officers have, right? Because in their job, is everything okay?
Oh yeah, no, I'm hearing you speak, and I'm not like disgusted at you.
Oh,
I'm just thinking like, man, what kind of world is that where it's okay? Like, I know it's unrealistic to think this way because we just live amongst so many different people with so many different backgrounds, with so many different traumas, with so many different life experiences, but it makes me sad listening to what you're saying and then going, fuck, like, why can't we do the inverse, right? Like, why can't it be like, we don't have to learn how to fight because now we know how to properly talk to each other. We know how to properly communicate. Like, why is this conversation about like, how do we assemble and unite and like fucking protect each other? It's more like, damn, like, how can we reach those people that are committing these? So that's why I had the face.
And I'm actually glad you asked that question, because what I'm about to talk about can be zoomed out even more.
Okay.
Right? So yes, in amongst the human society, there's like people that do evil, and then there's the victims of that, right? And then you're saying, why do people even have to do evil in the first place?
Well, I'm saying like right now, like it's sad that I guess what you're explaining, for this immediate future to solve this immediate problem, we all have to assemble and find a way to fight back. And not by fight, I don't mean like even physically fight. I just mean in all aspects of the word.
Yeah.
Of fighting back. Yeah. And I'm like, damn, how sad.
So what I'm saying is, well, you're sad because you're looking at humanity, right?
Yeah.
Why do we even have to think like this, right? So I'm saying to zoom out.
Okay.
Zoom out even more.
Okay.
When you go out on a hike by yourself, humanity doesn't exist.
Right.
There's a chance that you can get eaten by a bobcat.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm talking about. So what I'm talking about in terms of being the prey mentality, it's not tied to emotion. It's not tied to humanity. It's not tied to anything. It's actually tied to Mother Nature. The way that Mother Nature works.
It's brutal.
The way that a meteor can be descending, and if you're not paying attention and you're just staring on your phone for 5 seconds,
you're getting obliterated.
This meteor that's the size of a car, that maybe if you sprinted maybe like 100 yards, you might have gotten away, but because you're on your phone for 30 seconds,
you never saw it
you're
coming.
Squished. That's what I'm talking about.
Gotcha.
So I'm not talking about just humanity, which will zoom back into humanity, but I'm zooming out into, because we live in Mother Nature, there is prone for danger. There's potential for danger and violence. Violence not as in you beat me up, but just
snow, rain,
exactly.
Bears.
Yes. Yeah. Like
hunger. Like there's not enough food.
Wind that fucking topples you over. That's violence. That's a violent wind, right? So that's what I'm talking about. So going back to that person's question, do we all need to know martial arts? Do we all need to be proficient in weapons? In an ideal world, yes. So, and I'll get to that. But the reason why I want to set the bar, I think it's really important to set the bar, set the standard so we know what is statistically effective. And then we apply and adjust to individuals, and then we apply to and adjust to the situation. So for example, when I told my friend yes, he immediately goes, how are we going to teach 70-year-old grandmas BJJ? How are we going to teach 70-year-old grandmas? Like, are all grandmas going to pack a gun? I'm like, that's a really, really good question.
Yeah.
Because no, one, they're not going to be able to learn in time.
How do we teach Taika all this shit?
Exactly.
He's not gonna kick anyone's ass.
Exactly, right? So it's, but we need to set the bar instead of lowering the bar. We need to set the bar, and now we know how to adapt the bar to situations and individuals and peoples and their capabilities, right? So now the second thing that we need to address is, in my opinion, defense is built against the offense, right? So there's no point, like for example, even in the military, right? When you have ground forces, just normal infantry, they're trained up to a point to fight other infantry. If you need someone to freaking jump into someone's Capitol building and freaking like put chloroform on their face and then go whoosh, like that, like some James Bond shit.
James Bond would never do that.
Or he's gonna have sex with like 10 girls first.
Yeah.
But the infantry guy is gonna be underprepared, right? You need a special set of skills because
you need a Rambo.
Because your game plan needs to be adapted to the situation.
Right.
So most of the crimes that are happening right now in the Asian community, and even just not in the Asian community, but like crimes that my mom helped me be aware of, like when I go to the ATM, can you watch my back? And if you see someone coming close to me, just scream something.
Ooh, that's great.
Exactly. Like things like that. These novel criminals that are looking for an easy prey.
Yeah.
Almost 50% of them can already be deterred by not even having to be proficient in weapons, and also not even having to be a martial arts expert.
Yeah, just using what you naturally have, which is your voice, your eyes, your ears.
Yes. And so like it starts off with body language, right? If you're looking down at the floor and you're walking and you're a 70-year-old man, or you're just a 20-year-old college student stuck on your phone with a backpack on, you look like you're going to have a hard time running away. If I'm a bad guy cruising in a car looking for someone to rob,
and a bitch. A bad guy and a bitch.
And a bad guy and a bitch. And I'm looking for some easy prey, someone to purse snatch from.
Oh. That's your target.
That's a target.
Yeah.
That target is screaming to me, come rob me, come rape me.
Because I'm not even paying attention to you.
Come beat me up. That's the body language that you're giving off to other people, right?
Yeah.
So by even standing straight, walking with a purpose, eyes up, every few steps, look behind you, looking around, being vigilant. If you're a guy that's parked, and a little bitch, but parked in the park on the side of the street with your tinted windows rolled down just a little bit so you can see if there's any easy prey, you're like, pass.
Right, because they're looking at you. They already identified your face. Like you're probably not trying to kill anybody. You're just trying to get some easy money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
because I don't think a lot of these people want to kill people. I think it's more like, yo, I just want to take you for some shit because I'm hurting for whatever reason.
Yes. And then so that's why, to me, it's important to build defense against the offender.
Yeah.
And the first, let's say the bottom tier of defenders, which is probably like 50 and below, they're looking for the path of least resistance, easy target, easy victim, right? And so you can already, like most of the crimes that I've been reading about in the Asian American community, those ones could be deterred by just having our elders. And this is stuff hopefully maybe you could spread to, your grandparents, your uncles, and your aunties. Like if you're going to go walk and get the newspaper, walk with your eyes up. Or if you're going to, don't be stuck on your phone, or carry a cane with you. Maybe you don't even need it. But like when you see
even a cane with the fucking, you could just take the top off.
With the fucking sword if you can.
What the fuck, motherfucker?
Yeah, like if you saw a grandpa walking with 2 butcher knives, just fucking going like this as he's walking.
I'm not doing shit to
You're
grandpa.
not gonna do shit, So like it's as ridiculous as that sounds, it actually works. So what I'm talking about is in this defense, just having body language, situational awareness, and trying to identify unusual things. Like if you went into the supermarket and then there was a guy inside of his car, and you come out an hour later and that guy's still inside of your car, make a note of that. That's weird.
Yeah.
Why is this person on a hot day like have all his windows up,
Yeah.
So like having those 3 things is already going to deter a lot of bad crime from happening.
Yeah.
Just by not being a prey, right? By not being the lamb that's just eating grass. And then the wolves have all the freedom in the world to get pretty much in pounce distance, right? And that's the one thing. So obviously in a world where a lot of violence happens, the way that I like to put it is I feel like there's herbivores, right? And then there's carnivores. Carnivores only eat the herbivores. Herbivores, they're just peace-loving people, and they're the people that are wondering, why the fuck is people attacking me? To me, I think if we can at least give people enough tools to go from herbivore to an omnivore, I think that would be really, really helpful. And even like if you were to compare 2 herbivores, right? Like let's say you're a wolf.
Okay, real quick though, let me pause you because I need to introduce our first sponsor. Alrighty, so let's take a little breather here and talk about something that's going to help us internally and externally. I'm talking about your physical fitness. I'm talking about just relaxing. I'm talking about stretching, and I'm specifically discussing Bulldog Yoga. It's no secret that we're all juggling a lot these days: jobs, families, budgets, and just the times right now are pretty nuts. So we've all heard and read about the amazing benefits of yoga: increased strength, better flexibility, improved mental focus, etc. But many of us, myself included, who have tried yoga and we never went back, or have just been so afraid to even start just because it looks so intimidating. So here is Bulldog Yoga, and they're here to take the intimidation out of yoga, and they're here to make it fun and judgment free and just make you feel like you just made the right choice in picking yoga. So Bulldog Online is about making yoga fun again. They stream online classes and are available on demand. So that's anytime, any place on your schedule. So if you're in the middle of work and it's highly intense and it's stressful and you're like, wait, on my lunch break, I need some me time. I need to clear my thoughts. I just want, I've been sitting all day. I just want to feel better. You can go to Bulldog Online and, watch a class and just feel better about yourself and completing, the day feeling refreshed, feeling, energized, feeling really good. So Bulldog Online classes are easy to follow and set to great playlists meant to motivate and keep you smiling. There are choices of all levels, from beginner classes to heart-pumping workouts, and there are tons of classes with different length options for it to fit your schedule. So I'm talking about classes that will range from anywhere between 12 minutes to 60 minutes. So it's going to be perfect for the person on the go or the person with a really, really busy schedule that's like, I can't make time. No, now you can make time. They're hooking you up. So for now, for everyone listening, you get to try 30 days for free at bulldogonline.com. That's bulldogonline.com. Make sure to use code BEAW, B-E-A-W, for an additional 50% off your first paid month. Try it. You have nothing to lose. Again, that's bulldogonline.com. Coupon code BEAW, B-E-A-W. And we're back. So I'm a herbivore.
You're a wolf.
Oh, I'm a wolf.
You're a wolf. You're
Okay.
a carnivore. You're fucking hungry.
I'm a
You haven't
carnivore.
ate in a long time, and you need to kill so your whole family can eat.
Okay. Uh-oh.
And you see 2 herbivores. One's a sheep on the left. One's a ram on the right.
I'm going for the sheep
Why?
because the ram has fucking horns. And that already alone just scares me.
Yeah. Good wolf. Good wolf. So that's
all I need to see are horns and I'm out.
So that's what I'm saying, right?
That fool's built for violence.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I think all of us in an ideal world, we all want a peace-loving place. We all want, why can't we just all be prey? Why can't we just all be prey and have no predators? That would be fucking awesome, right? But even amongst all of us being prey, all of us being herbivores, you can already tell which herbivore is actually prepared.
The most herbivore bee.
Yeah, like
at the bottom of the herbivore
exactly,
list.
And you can tell which one's a little bit more prepared to help defend the good of the good pack, right? The good guys.
Yeah.
And so that's all I'm trying to say is I think having these tools and kind of understanding the escalation of defense to fight off the offense is very important. So step one, having body language, good body language, situational awareness, and being able to identify the unusual thing. That already deters all the novel bad guys, the pussies, the little fucking bitches, right? Step two, now you're dealing with a perpetrator that is down to engage. The guy that is down to go, okay, you know what? I do see that this person's confident, but me and my 3 homies can jump this fool. Or the people that are down to fight, down to shoot, down to stab. In this instance, that is when the second skill set, being proficient in weapons, being good at martial arts, where you actually have to engage, that is where it's helpful. So that's why for me, I want to set the ideal bar where it needs to be, and then you adjust it from then and there. But then that's when, if you are a ram, right, you don't have to be a predator. You are a ram, but you do see the wolf coming. You're like, I don't want to do this. But now guess what? I do have horns. And you're going to be able to be in a place to go, I'm going to have to defend the rest of the sheep, right? So I think that to me is, it's really important to identify where I think for most people, like even coming from my friend's question, like, you know, he's like, I'm kind of scared of guns. I don't really want to have a gun and all that. But the problem is, if you always think like prey, you will always be prey. And that's the problem. You know, it's obviously there's always.
Well, I don't think people try to think like prey. Do you know what I mean? Again, I think you're a product of your environment. People don't even know that there's a prey to predator type of thing.
But now if you listen to this podcast,
then you can evaluate
and
where you're at.
We grow, right? We grow, we evolve as people as we consume more information and understand new things. So obviously I don't have the billions of people in the world on tap through this podcast, but being able to spread this type of awareness, and that's why I said in the beginning of this podcast, like if you could even tell your auntie or uncle or your grandpa, keep eyes up as they're walking to get groceries, that's already a huge improvement. And I don't think people are purposely trying to think like prey, but I'm trying to introduce the concept of a ram to what I've noticed is a bunch of sheep.
Well, I think also one thing that I do notice a lot, specifically in Chinese, newly Chinese immigrants, because I've just grown up amongst so many Asians. I think I grew up with more Asians than I did my own Mexican people.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Even though I grew up in the hood, I was amongst Mexican people, but I never really engaged with them too much because I went to different school districts in the 626 or, predominantly Asian communities. So growing up, I always noticed that specifically Chinese people that were newly immigrated into this country, they're just glued to their phone. Like I don't know how it works, in China, but like they're just on their phone. They're either reading something and I've seen this when I went to Japan too, but like specifically with Chinese, because I guess I was around more Chinese people, they just walk around with their phone just glued to their hand and their face. Like we have a neighbor here that walks his dog every single day, same exact route. I can't tell you what his face looks like because he's always just glued to his phone. Like we can cross each other and he'll never once put his head up to say hello. So I don't know if that's like a cultural thing where it's like, hey, we just stick to ourselves. We don't want to ruffle any feathers. We don't want to cause any commotion. We're invisible. Leave me alone. I leave you alone. But that right there, right? Like how do you deal with something like that? Yeah, or am I wrong? Did I perceive it wrong?
No, so that part's tough because not just in like the Chinese speaking countries, but like, even though when you go to Japan, right? Like if you're a Japanese person, like you'll see on the subway, they're hanging there reading the newspaper or they're on their phone and they see feet walk in front of them. Instead of making eye contact to see who it is, they just move aside, right? And I think in a lot of Asian countries, this actually works because there's not that much violent crimes out in the open. Like, in Japan, like Yakuza, they run the underworld, right? The underworld stays in the underworld, and then the regular world stays in the regular world. And a lot of Asian countries, although not as like separated as Japan is, it's kind of similar to that, where like things are very cohesive. It's a homogeneous culture, so hate crimes in general are very low, right? Because everyone's pretty much the same people.
Yeah.
And then the crime is also lower. And in a culture where it's more collective thinking, it's like we're all ants here. How can we make things really smooth?
Yeah.
So that works over there, right? Over here, we have all kinds of different people. It's the like in Jungle Book. Over here, it's the watering hole, right? You might get the rhino, you might get the tiger, you might get whoever. There's just different people. And then now because we're different people, we're kind of all aware of that. We all have to be sensitive to each other, and we also have to like kind of acknowledge the difference. And then so now what worked over there,
it's not gonna work here, baby.
Doesn't really work over here.
Yeah.
Like over here, like if you have a Chinese guy that just came here who's walking on his phone into a supermarket, and you have an American-born guy that's like used to like certain American mannerisms, I'm like, oh shit, yeah, I'll open the door for you. The Chinese guy is probably just gonna walk through and then think in his own brain, that's weird that this guy opened the door for me, because no one opens the door for anybody over there.
Yeah.
So it's just a difference in culture, and it works over there, but it doesn't work over here. And so if we're like, just like animals, right? And I like bringing up animals because I feel like it's the closest to what nature is. If you're an animal coming from a jungle into a grassland, you need to be aware of the grassland and understand to be safe in the grassland.
Or the grassland to the jungle.
Exactly.
That's more accurate, I feel like.
Yeah.
Because everything, like you said, was cohesive and it worked. And out here, it's just a different environment and there's just different threats.
Yeah.
And I feel like, for anyone listening that has family members that do that, I think, what Bart said, with it just being the most basic thing that we all take for granted. And I feel like females can relate to all your tips because I feel like we've kind of unfortunately been programmed to be very self-aware because we have, we still continue to be a prey.
Yeah.
Which is so unfortunate and it's so heartbreaking. But, just talking to your family members and just saying, hey, you know what? This is some interesting, dangerous times for us. And, like keeping, the body awareness, the spatial awareness. If things are out of place, then, saying something about that, or just not letting your elders or your young people travel alone. Cause that's like also really scary. And just telling them, hey, put your phone away. Like, I know, back at home, like we were taught to just kind of stick to our own thing, not cause any waves, not have our presence be known. We're supposed to blend in with everyone. But here it's a little bit different. Like you need to know what's going on at all times.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think just sharing that information with just as many people as you can is already going to make so much of a difference.
Yeah. And, I think also kind of like thinking about step 2 where, okay, now I did a good job of deterring all of like the level 1 novel criminals that are just looking for a quick victim. Now thinking about the level 2 of criminals that are willing to engage, those guys are way less, right? If you think about like, how often do you get someone break into your house? How often do you come home and see someone like carrying out your VCR or some shit? Like that's a little bit less, right?
They're not going to get a VCR in this house and maybe a lot of houses.
True.
So phone books and VCRs, I think
okay, maybe I need
fine.
to stop with the outdated references.
Yeah.
But for the level 2, if anyone could at least get a little bit level of training in there, or if you're the strong person in the house, right? If you're the strong person, like I feel like every household, there's a person that go, okay, everyone in this family kind of leans on this one person. If you're that person, I do think it is a huge, tremendous benefit, not only to yourself, but also to your family. If you do get trained in some sort of hand-to-hand combat or some sort of weapon.
Like self-defense.
Yeah, because that also empowers you And so you're more of the ram with the horns rather than the sheep. And the part that makes me sad is every time something happens to the sheep, the only tool that the sheep knows how to use is go out and cry. It's, man, why the fuck is this happening to me? Like, that's the only thing they can do, right? They can only cry and yell for the police to help or yell. And so no one's empowered. It feels like their destiny is out of their hands. And that's a sad way to live, to have how your outcome be in the hands of someone else.
Right.
So making sure that the outcome is in your hands is very, very helpful. I haven't even trained that much. But at least I know with my strength level, my athleticism, my understanding from the military and the amount that I train, everyone that could beat me up is on TV. If you're not on TV, as in like in the UFC, if you're not in the UFC, you're going to have a really hard time beating me up. And so with me understanding that knowledge and me rolling with enough people, sparring with enough people, shooting competitions with enough people, me understanding that, I already feel way more empowered and I'm walking around with a different level of confidence that the regular person probably doesn't have. And I wish that everyone else can kind of train themselves up a little bit more, and that would benefit not only them, but also the people around them as well.
Yeah. Well, I think it's also hard for a lot of people to do that, right? Because now it's you having to face these realities that some people just don't want to think about. You know, like I think it really scares a lot of people. And they're like, I don't want to think that that's true. So if I don't think that that's true, like what are the chances of that coming, into my home?
Yeah.
Probably very small. So I think I should be okay.
Yeah. And that's why I like that you actually brought that up, and that you brought up the other part in the beginning in this podcast where I'm like, yes, we don't want it to be true, but if you zoom out, there's still a chance when you go on a hike, a fucking snake jumps out of nowhere and just bites you in the neck. It's possible.
Yeah, but check it out. So if that happens, the responsibility can still go on something else, right? Like, yeah, the snake bit me, but guess what? I have a hospital now to lean into. So I'm okay.
But what I'm saying, I mean, that's the same thing with getting shot, right? Oh yeah, I get shot in the arm. Okay, I'll go to the hospital. But what I'm saying is all of us don't even want violence committed on us. That's the goal, right? So once again, you're on a hike, you're on your phone, you have your earbuds in. There could be a fucking rattlesnake that's been rattling the last 30 seconds, and there's plenty of warning signs. But if you're a sheep in the grasslands and you stick your head down, it's no bueno, right? So like outside of humanity, I completely get the feeling of why do we even have to live in this world? And I'm talking about outside of humanity, outside of society, this world still exists. So the understanding of situational awareness, the understanding of, okay, here is a threat, whether human or non-human, whether it's a natural disaster even, just understanding these things can help put you in a place, more advantageous place. And then now you have options. You can go, what are the steps that I can do? Instead of just the person that is just screaming for help and then going, oh my God, my life is in control of something else.
Yeah.
Because that's the part that makes me sad, where it feels like there's a lot of people out there that feel like they have zero control over their lives.
Yeah.
And the minute that our community gets attacked, they're looking everywhere outside but themselves to help get themselves out of the situation. And when you feel, what's the opposite of empowered? Powerless?
Exactly.
When you feel God damn.
Sorry.
When you feel powerless, it's a very sad place to be, because you feel like don't have an action plan. There's nothing that you can do. And I almost feel like you're hopeless. You're hopeless and helpless.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And so for the most part, like when I'm if I'm out and about, and if I do see people that look kind of like questionable, sometimes I feel sorry for them. I'm like, okay, if you come and try to rob me, it's going to be a really bad day for you.
That's awesome.
It's so bad, right? And so that feeling that I have, I'm like, man, I wish most people have that feeling, and then they feel more confident, feel more in control of their lives. And so I feel like that ideal first step, that is something that if you are that strong person in your family that where everyone leans on, I think it's super important for you to at least get trained up to at least that first level.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that'd be a great tip. Real quick, though, let me introduce our next sponsor.
Our next sponsor is Movement. In a tiny apartment in Southern California, 2 college dropouts teamed up to create a watch company that broke all the rules. And you guys know me, I freaking love watches. And what they did different is with fair prices and unexpected colors and clean and original designs. And in my personal opinion, I think they really changed the game. And they grew into one of the fastest growing watch companies, shipping to over 160 countries across the globe, which is crazy. And Movement watches have the look and quality of $400 to $500 watches that you pay for a department store, but at a fraction of the price. And I like them so much that I have a few myself and I give them out as gifts all the time. And you get a beautiful watch shipped right to your door for free. And if you don't love it, guess what? You can ship it right back for free. And if you want to elevate your look with the style that doesn't break the bank, then join Movement and get 15% off today with free shipping and free returns by going to mvmt.com/bail. That's mvmt.com/bail.
And we're back. And of course, that's easier said than done. And that's something that you would have to definitely prioritize and be like, okay, I have to get to this right. And it's hard for a lot of people. It really is, because now you're telling people to, and this is like a joke that's online up right now, like to wake up and choose violence. And a lot of us don't want to do that. One, because of what I said, where we don't want to admit that that's the reality that we live in. And two, like also culturally, you're not taught to be confrontational like that.
But I'm also not asking people to wake up and choose violence. And I'm not asking people to be confrontational either.
Well, I know you're not asking that, but I think we would have to take it that way to really see that there's this threat. To see that
is what I'm asking people to do, though. Having the situational awareness to even identify a threat.
Right, but then we have to come to terms and realize that fuck, we're training because one day we might have to use this. And that's what I'm saying. That's the scary part. Of like, fuck, I don't want to have to ever use this. This sucks. This is scary.
Yeah, but on the flip side, how many people in tax season go, fuck, I wish they would have taught me this. Oh man, you can deduct taxes this way. I wish someone would have taught me this.
Yeah, now they have options.
Right? So it's like, yeah, it'd be awesome if someone did everything for you, right? But the problem is later on when you find out, oh my God, there's this thing that's being taken advantage of, that thing that's being taken advantage of, then you're like, okay, maybe I need to brush up on a couple of things, not so that you can constantly be in a world of being taken advantage of, but at least you are keen to seeing certain red flags that pop up.
Yeah, that you can avoid and navigate better. Also, I think as a community, right? And I'm not just talking about as like a specific type of ethnic community, but just as a community that we live in, or the community of just being a fucking kind human being. When you see these things happening, intervene in any type of way. Because what I've been noticing, and I hate this shit, and I witnessed this firsthand, was people will bust out their phones to record.
That part sucks so much.
And I'm like, okay, like, who knows what your motive is for recording? Like, is it because you really want to document it and then now you have evidence to submit to someone? Or is it just because you want to show your friends? Or is it because now you want to like have some shit go viral? Like, that's not really what I'm trying to figure out. But the fact that your go-to is just to record and not do any type of intervening, I'm like, yo, what the fuck? Like, if anything, at least bust your phone out, dial 911 real quick, and help in that way. I think that is way more helpful. And I know a lot of people, myself included, we wouldn't want to get in the middle of something because it's like, hey, I have a lot to lose. I have a family, I have kids, I have, dependents or whatever. And for me, I'm like, I don't even know what's going on here. Like, I'm not even trying to get involved in that way, but at least I can call somebody or I can yell for help or I can, do 911 or do something to intervene to just kind of remove the attention or to bring more attention to what's happening.
You think that's why maybe some people do record though? Because they just feel so helpless. They don't know what to do. So instead of stepping in, they're like, oh, I guess I'll collect evidence.
Yeah, possibly. But I think when some shit's going down, that's like after the fact, that's once it's over.
Yeah.
I'm talking about like as it's happening, let's do something.
Yeah.
And I get it, when it's happening, it's kind of surreal and some people tend to freeze. I don't know. I haven't been, knock on wood, but I haven't been around a lot of these things happening where I'm like, fuck, what do I do? Like I haven't been in a lot of emergency situations. So I don't know how I would personally react. Like, I don't know if I would freeze or I don't know if I would call someone. I don't know if I would even run just to help the person. I have no idea. But I think just thinking of these scenarios, like I run through a lot of like scenarios in my mind. Like if someone were to rob us, what are my exit plans? Like, I don't even know if that's normal. And I know we've talked about this on, previous podcasts, but like I come up with different scenarios in my head so that once it does happen, hopefully I don't freeze.
Yeah.
And I feel like people should be also trying to think of that stuff so that they're just a little bit more prepared. So when it does happen, they're not just super caught off guard. And now it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's the part that's also kind of sad too, where, you're, when shit hits the fan, you resort back to your least trained state. Right. So like if you are
which makes sense.
So if you shoot a lot of free throws and and that's like as good as you get, when shit hits the fan and someone puts a gun to your head, you might be able to shoot a couple free throws because you've been doing it a lot, right? So training in terms of in your mind, that's good, but it's still a huge potential for freezing up because you're not executing it.
Absolutely.
Right? So like people that like when shit hits the fan and you have to pull a gun out of a backpack, if you don't actively pull, like unzip and pull it on, do the actions and have the muscle memory,
true,
it'll only just stay in here and it's stuck, right? And so some of the parts that like at least running scenarios in your brain is one step above not doing shit.
Yeah.
And here's another thing where it's like even in a humane society where everyone's nice to each other, one part that also makes me sad that I always notice too is even on a flight, when people are giving the exit row and that whole speech, most people's heads are down too. Heads down on their phone, getting ready to have their food. And at least the person that's listening and is walking themselves, okay, I can go over there. I can visualize myself turning the handle. Okay, I can visualize the inflatable thing. I can visualize me. I could visualize me sticking my feet forward.
I was like, what's it visualize?
It's a fancy word.
Okay.
You could visualize yourself throwing your feet forward and sliding down.
Envision and visualize.
All of those things are extremely helpful.
Yeah.
But that's the problem where I feel like we live in a world now where
we just assume someone else would do it.
Shut everything off.
Yeah.
And then so when things happen and things will happen, just statistically, it's like people are in the most helpless situation possible.
Yeah.
Like I've been in like fender benders with people and people come out of the car almost as if like their plane crashed. And I'm like, oh, okay, no, it's not a big deal. So what's going to happen right now? And I almost have
What do you mean by a plane crash?
Like, they're just like, oh, where am I? Oh, fuck. Oh, shit. Like, they don't even, like, they're so disoriented.
What the hell were they doing?
It's just the trauma, the emotional and mental trauma of the event superseded the physical trauma by tenfold. Like, I come out of the car because I've been in actual crashes.
You don't say.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, like I almost have to take control of the situation where I'm like, hey, you know what? It's okay. Are you okay? Or is anything hurt? Okay, cool. You're fine. You're not bleeding. Okay, cool. So now that we're both medically okay, this is what we're going to do. All we have to do is trade information. You take a picture of my license so you have it. So I almost pretty much run through the whole thing. Like, for example, in my R7, that one was an offender bender. But I was turning and then someone straight T-boned my ass. So this person is the predator and I'm the prey because I'm following the rules. This person straight fucking T-boned my ass. And when we came out, this person was just so completely like disoriented, didn't know what the hell was happening. And I had to calm her down, help her sit down on her chair. I'm like, you know what? This is what we'll do. I laid out the steps, explained the steps to her, and then it was cool. And then I drove off and I had the best workout of my life right after, because it's so normal to me. So like, I think things like that, it's really important to not adopt I'm going to turn a blind eye to the whole world. And because then what ends up happening is you'll be more in situations like that. In a situation like that, where it's not like a violent act of crime, that might be okay. But imagine if that was the same act, but now someone's burglarizing or someone is going to hurt you or a hate crime or something like that.
So
like
how do you prepare for that,
You're
though?
super helpless.
But yeah, how do you prepare for that? Like, do you now run these burglary scenarios?
No, just practicing, understanding, even going back to the first three, right? So
Yeah.
and there's also these classes. So shout out to Tim Kennedy. He's actually going to do a IG live with me about situational awareness. He's former special forces dude. So of course, if he's like doing secret ops, he has to be the most aware out of anybody in the world. He was also a former top ranked UFC fighter. So in terms of hand-to-hand combat, he's an expert. And he's going to do an IG live with me. So stay tuned on my Instagram at Bartquan to see when we're actually going to do it. But like taking situational awareness or home defense or like security type of classes, they all have a similar mindset and a similar order of things and a similar way of like, okay, step 1, then step 2, then step 3, then step 4. And all of them apply to whether it's a car accident, a fucking random bobcat jumping out during a hike, or a bad guy trying to kill you. Like they're identifying threats, understanding the situation. What do I need to do? What are my options there? It's the same mental process. And I think being comfortable with that mental process helps prepare you for a lot of things in life. That's what I'm saying.
That's awesome.
It's because so that's why I was saying, like, taking the whole Second Amendment debate out of it. It's not about guns or no guns. It's about being in control of a weapon or a tool if you need to use one.
Yeah.
Like
just being prepared.
Because there could be someone with a fire extinguisher right there, right? Their house is on fire, but because that part of their brain's not turned on, they just see the fire and like, oh my God, my fucking house is burning down, right? Versus there's a fucking fire extinguisher, put out the fire. But they don't have the steps of, okay, cool. When a traumatic event happens, I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They don't have that. And they never practice exercising that. So they have the perfectly good thing there, but they don't know how to use it either.
Yeah. These are all great tips.
Yeah.
And
that's just all what I'm trying to say, which I hope, I really want more people, especially in our community, to feel more empowered. And then the problem with developing nations, like, or very developed nations, like a lot of
go on cruise control a little bit.
Yeah, especially Asians coming over here. Like if you go to like Japan, Taiwan, like places like Korea,
super safe.
It's so technologically advanced that you're almost overdeveloped to the point where like people might not even know how to do the laundry, right? So if you're so dependent on other things and that's where your mind is always at, that's why they're easy targets, because they're so used to every single thing in their life being taken care of by something else, by an app, by a computer, by some technology. And that's the part where it's like, at the end of the day, you still have to be proficient in a few basic human functions.
Yeah.
Safety and security being one of the top ones.
Yeah.
Just being an animal in Mother Nature. Like you don't got to teach a gazelle. If a gazelle hears fucking twigs cracking over there.
Later.
Immediately, what the fuck is going on over there? Right? You could see it in the body language. What the fuck is going on over there? And then the lion that stepped on the twig goes, oh, fuck, saw me. It might crouch back down, right? Just like any other of these hate crime predators on the street. Oh, shit, that fucking old lady saw me and is waving a cane around now. Fuck it, I'll go find someone else.
Yeah.
Right? But if the lion steps on the twig and the fucking gazelle still, he goes like, hell yeah. Taking more and more and more and more steps. So it's outside of just human civilization and society. Just in Mother Nature, I think it's very important to be aware of these things.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm so happy you brought all this stuff to light. And yeah, we're all looking forward to listening to that, IG Live, because I feel like just in general, we're going to get so many good tips. It's so unfortunate that it has to come about because of these unfortunate and sad events. But, stay safe out there, everyone. Like, practice just being, just the first steps of what Bart recommended. Travel in groups for now, at least. Take care of your elders. Don't let them go alone. Or even if you see an elder on the street and you don't know them, hey, is it okay if I walk with you like or engage in some sort of conversation, even to distract them a little bit. Hey, how's your day going? You might freak them out a little bit, but just, let them know like, hey, I've been seeing that there's a rise in crime and you guys tend to be the target. Let me just walk you. Where are you going? Let me just walk you there real quick.
Yeah.
You got to take care of each other.
And I'll end up with this where a few weeks, maybe a month ago on my IG, I was talking about how like when I'm jogging, I like to greet people. And I think that's actually even probably one of the first steps. Greeting people with confidence establishes a few things. So if you're jogging at night, could feel kind of scary or whatever, guy or girl, doesn't really matter. But you see a shadowy figure going like, hey, how's it going? With a little bit of confidence and a little bit of oomph, that gives you information as it bounces back, right? If the person was kind of slightly leaning towards you and all of a sudden straightens them out, oh shit, that person might have been a threat. But then they felt your confidence, they felt that you noticed them, and then they're like, okay, someone else. There's that. If someone's like, hey, how's it going, man? Cool, friendly versus friendly. That's awesome. I announced friendly, they announced friendly. That's good. So like being vocal and using the tools at your disposal instead of just running and hoping, I hope this guy doesn't beat me up. Oh, thank God. Oh no, another person. Oh, I hope this person doesn't beat me up. That's like the worst place. That's the worst position to be in. You want to be like a bat and being able to greet people, saying hi, and just
using echolocation.
Exactly. You want to be a little bat all the time. Hey, how's it going? How's it going, dude? How's it going? How's it going? And you're just giving yourself all kinds of information, and you're establishing rapport. You're establishing what your invisible proxemics are. You're just establishing so many things out there that it's extremely, extremely helpful in just preserving your safety. So there's a lot of things that outside of actual, I'm getting in a fucking fisticuff. There's a lot of things that you can put out there before even having to get to that point.
Yeah. Great advice. Thanks for sharing all of that. And thank you guys so much for listening. And also thank you to our sponsors. So thank you so much to Bulldog Yoga. Try your first 30 days for free at bulldogonline.com. That's bulldogonline.com. Use code BEAW, B-E-A-W, for an additional 50% off your first paid month. Again, that's bulldogonline.com. Use code BEAW. And thank you to Movement. If you want to elevate your look with style that doesn't break the bank, then join Movement and get 15% off today with free shipping and free returns by going to mvmt.com/bail. Again, that's mvmt.com/bail.
And also, don't forget to check out barbellbrigade.com for everything strength. We have supplements to help get you strong. We have clothes to help make you feel strong. We have a gym where you can go and become strong. And right now, we're also starting a brand new training department where we're going to offer digital programs online. So you can go to whatever gym that you train at and have the tools that you need to get stronger. We have a new program called 30-Day Jumpstart, and there's a full-on 30 video series on YouTube with workout plans, how to do actual lifts, recipes, fast food hacks, all kinds of stuff to help you get lean and jumpstart your fitness. Go to barbellbrigade.com. Also, if you're looking for high quality ceremonial grade matcha, the most delicious matcha on the planet at an affordable price, go to shopjumbi.com, and with the code BEAW, B-E-A-W, you can get 10% off of everything. So make sure you go to shopjumbi.com. If you love high quality matcha and you want to make all your yummy different teas at home, that's BEAW, B-E-A-W. That's the code to use to get 10% off.